Today is Thursday, April 4th, 2013. This is Peace News Now. Here's what's happening in the world of peaceful evolution. Silver is trading at $28 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at $130 per Bitcoin. The United Nations approved the first ever global arms trade treaty in New York City this week. The treaty has been in the works for over 10 years. It has been struck down each of those years until now, creating vaguely defined bureaucracies with overreaching powers to intrude into the personal lives of everyday people. The treaty is unpopular with those who support rights of open trade, self-defense, and self-determination. While the treaty appears benign enough, regulating the trade of battle tanks, warships, and missiles, why wouldn't you want those things regulated? But it also includes small arms and light weapons, which means that it can essentially be argued that everything from a knife to a nuclear missile is covered in this treaty. If ratified, the treaty will require all countries to establish national regulations to control the transfer of conventional arms, parts, and components to regulate arms brokers. The UN General Assembly passed the treaty to regulate global arms trade in a vote of 154 to 3, with 23 abstentions. To become binding, the treaty must be approved by the Senate. There's a clear disagreement about the bill in the Senate where its odds of survival are low. Those who support the treaty argue that it will keep weapons out of the hands of human rights abusers like Syria and North Korea, who voted against the treaty. They argue that it's the UN's role as protector of international human rights to make sure that tanks and warships don't end up in the wrong hands. Those who oppose the treaty, however, argue that it will be used to the benefit of some countries and to the detriment of others, creating clear winners and losers. Others say this creates a bloated new bureaucracy to further wrap an industry already riddled with red tape, a bureaucracy which could one day grow to nullify the Second Amendment. The representative from Iran said that the treaty had many loopholes, was hugely susceptible to politicization and discrimination, and ignored the legitimate demand to prohibit the transfer of arms to those who committed aggression. North Korea said the treaty favored arms exporters who can restrict arms to importers that have a right to legitimate self-defense and the arms trade. Since Uncle Sam is far and away the world's largest producer and exporter of weapons and war machines, any nation's representative not aligned with U.S. interest stands no chance of survival. This means overlooking the rampant human rights abuses of the American empire and implementing controls on tax slaves at home. What does this mean for you? It's unlikely this treaty will result in any immediate public policy changes. The most that will likely come of it are a couple new alphabet soup agencies whose job is to write reports about successful intrusions into the market of self-defense products. This is all part of a broader strategy of control, more along the lines of domestication. Some people have figured out ways of manufacturing small self-defense weapons in high quantities for low cost. So don't worry, while Uncle Sam is busy taking your guns away from you and forcing you to pay for it, you'll always have the option to download your own guns for free. Are you tired of the US government killing people around the world? Are you tired of having to pay for their murderous rampage? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin is money that cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. Bitcoin takes the power of money from the government and returns it properly to the people. By continuing to use the dollar, you are helping the government. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at weusecoins.com. The WashingtonTimes.com reports that Texas Attorney General Greg Abbott wrote a letter to President Obama on Tuesday saying that the state will head to court over the United Nations Arms Trade Treaty should Mr. Obama sign it and the U.S. Senate ratify it. Abbott said in his letter, quote, "As with most so-called international law documents promulgated by the UN, the draft treaty is not written using the precise, unambiguous language required of a good legal document. Instead, the treaty employs sweeping rhetoric and imprecise terminology that could be used by those who seek to undermine our liberties to impose any number of restrictions on the right of law-abiding Americans to keep and bear arms." This has been Peace News Now, your daily 5-minute update on the peaceful evolution. Story links are in the show notes. For peacenewsnow.com, I'm Derek J, reminding you that we're all a part of the same chain.